All right, go for it.
All right. All right. Welcome back to the Nick and Justin show, episode 6.
Yes,
Coming
sir.
up, let's go.
All
All
right.
right, dude.
You got some
So
fire topics this time?
I got a little bit, hopefully a little bit more organized than last week's, but
Okay. All right,
All
throw
right.
one of them out there.
I'll give two. Topic one. Do you believe in changing older books to make them more PC for modern times?
Oh, okay. Interesting.
And
Basically, you're talking about everything Disney's doing with all of their shows.
yes.
Okay.
The second one. Are timeline goals and aspiration anchors for long-term progress?
What's the question in that?
So are timeline goals anchors for like long-term success?
Okay. All right, here's mine.
All right, go.
The Matrix in real life.
Mm.
Topic number 1. Topic number 2. Are smart toilets dangerous?
Kind of want to start with that because I love my poops, dude.
and then the other one, if you wanted to dive into it, is we could dive into like if instead of it just being all news focused, we could also just do like a my house renovation recap and all the screw ups I've done, and we could always talk about that stuff too.
Oh, I would love to hear that too. So let's slide by some other topics, and then let's have that segment.
Okay,
All
so
right, let's start with the toilet, please.
Start with the toilets. Okay, so
start with the toilets.
All right, so it's a news article. It was the title for it was basically Kohler smart toilet seats are accessible through Bluetooth on an analytical app. So taking it back a little bit, Kohler is like a really big brand when it comes to like faucets, toilets. Like half the time they're like your faucets and stuff for the showers, right? Like it's just one of those brands that does all of that stuff. So they have this smart toilet. It's called the Pure Warmth, where basically what their smart technology inside of it is it heats up and there's LED lights that change based on different vibes, times of the night, things like that. Someone basically found that like you don't need the official Kohler you don't need the official Kohler app in order to actually operate it. There's like third-party apps that basically you could just connect to it and take control of the toilet seat on it, which I mean is like, I guess from a security standpoint that's a big deal, but like, oh no, while I'm using the bathroom it might turn from blue to orange. Like
No, my biggest fear is that I'm sitting down on the toilet and I'm really enjoying it, like and then all of a sudden it goes red and the Insidious theme song comes up. I'm like, holy crap, dude! Like, are you serious?
This is why you gotta stop watching scary movies.
Like, dude, that'd be pretty messed up. Like, I don't know, dude. I think some things are just meant to be analog, unless it kind of like
no,
reads,
I mean
that's
stuff, literally the point of this
it analyzes your poops. Like, oh crap! Like, I need more fiber,
So that's what I thought it was about. Was like, does it actually like check to make sure I'm being healthy? But no, what they were basically saying was like, there's like Internet of Things or smart technology. It's not perfect from a security standpoint. So what I was actually thinking about this whole thing is, what are your thoughts on smart devices and the security around them?
Ooh, I'm 50-50. I'm very pro like smart devices, but also it's hard to like, even for locks, I can't have like I feel so weird having a smart lock because I feel like that can get hacked.
How's that different than someone just picking your lock though?
I feel like people are more tech savvy. I don't know. Do you know how people pick a lock? I don't think anyone knows how to pick a lock anymore.
I know how to pick a lock.
Well,
I mean, dude, it's okay. So I've thought about that specifically with the lock, right? Because on our property, each unit has basically a keypad piece, right, for Airbnb, things like that. And so like there's it could maybe get hacked. But then at the same time, I was like, a standard lock could get hacked. And I mean, realistically, any of these doors, if they're not reinforced correctly on the door frame itself, you could just kick the damn thing open anyways, right? And so like whether you're hacking like in a technical way or you're hacking in an analog way, there's still vulnerabilities.
I think people becoming more tech savvy is that the analog is slowly dying. That if you do all the right stuff, reinforce, get a good lock, and you don't have to pick it and all that, I think that'd still be safer because I feel like everyone's gonna be learning how to. What was it? Black cat hacker,
A black hat.
black hat. I don't know, dude. I'm not a hacker. I feel like you were or are. So I'd be watching out.
No, I'm just technical.
Yeah, but
Okay,
a
what
lot of
about
people
this
were
though?
technical.
Have you ever left the house, gotten into your vehicle, drove for like 5 minutes,
I know
and
those
then
are the ones
second
where I'm
guess
like,
second guess if you locked the
that's
door?
the that's the only time. Like, crap. I wish I had a smart lock. Then you drive, you get out, you double check it. Yeah.
Do you actually
Again,
go back
pros.
to the house to check to see if you locked it?
If I don't have 100% like memory of it, then yeah, I would go back.
So is it worth going digital so you don't have to do that anymore?
I don't know about that. I think convenience wise, yes, I'm freaking smart out everything. I think I'm just gonna be in the old, not fully full immersion in tech. Is that there's something I just want to make sure that's not just techie.
So it's just like that one item. Like you'll have your lights done,
My
like
light's done. Um,
heating, AC, all that other stuff is good to
I
go.
think yeah, all good to go. I think when it comes to security stuff, I think one of our old friends had a general concern about baby monitors
Hmm.
and either if it's a Bluetooth or Wi-Fi, and if it's Wi-Fi, like how it connect, and that's kind of a scary thought that someone's watching our kid, like if that's a possibility.
I mean, that was on the
Um,
news. There was someone hacking into baby monitors and scaring the babies. And then the parents found out about it only because they happened to be walking by the baby room and hearing this person terrorize their baby.
yeah, I think that's another issue. I think there's certain things that I would go 80%, but there's some like the 20% of things that I would want to be cognizant about. Yes.
Actually, that's a
And
really good point. Like from a
granted,
business standpoint,
yeah.
making it dummy easy to set up your smart devices in a safe, secure way. Because a lot of people
Hmm.
don't understand like how's a router work? How does like my network work? Can I separate
Is
the
it
networks? Is it all on the same network? Like people don't know what that means.
I learned that moving in my own place because I always had you do all the tech stuff, so I had to fend for myself and Google some stuff.
Do you have two separate networks inside your own
Yes, I
house?
do.
So one's for all your IoT devices, the other one is for actually using stuff.
I don't know what IoT devices mean, but it's 2.4 and 5.0.
Yeah, that's not what I was referring to.
Clearly, I got a lot more learning to do.
You're gonna be customer one when like this fictitious business steps up of like, okay, now that you got a
Well,
smart light, let me teach you how to do it with one click button safely.
oh, I did that. Hold on. Alexa, reading light on. Boom, sucker. Alexa, reading light off. Okay. At least I got that. I got that far.
Okay. Yeah, no, I think as more devices, I think there's definitely an over indexing of some things being smart, right? Like there's smart fridges, ovens, like everything in the kitchen is basically smart at this
Is
point.
smart. So,
Um,
but since you're so emergent tech, what's up? What is your thoughts? Are you in the 100%? I'm gonna smart house my smart house Disney.
basically, if
When I
if
got all
if
crazy.
yeah, if I can basically have a smart device with a product, I think for the most part it's going to become a smart device. There's not really there's high convenience, which is great and
Yes,
everything
agreed.
like that. From a security standpoint,
Yeah, how would you do security wise? Like, what are some buzzwords if we are listening in, i.e., me, if I needed to secure my network, what would you do? Or like just again those buzzwords we can look up later.
setting up two distinct networks, right? So like 2.4 and 5.0, those are basically that's associated to like the wavelength that it's transmitting on,
Okay.
right? Versus like having two networks, you could have like let's say network 1 2.4 and network 2 2.4, and you would put all of your devices for the actual home inside a local network that would be on like 2.4, which would be like your network number 2, and then you have like web surfing and all the other stuff you do on your other computer on the other network, right? So like think
Mm,
about this, like like when you set up, I mean no one has a printer anymore, but remember when you would set up a printer in the house, it only worked when it was on the same network as your like laptop. That's because
Mhm.
like you're able to actually communicate it to, but if it was on a different network, it won't talk to it still, right? And so you could just kind of like create two different areas where there's just like two different spaces for the devices versus the other stuff. Does that mean it's less likely to be hacked? No, but you know, it's just one more barrier of like you have two different types of passwords managing it, or right, it's the same idea of us having our last pass or our one password or whatever it is yeah, do we want to have the same password for every single device that we have, right? My password for all my passwords is password. And then like that's not very safe,
Got it.
right?
Got it.
Versus every
Two
single
S's.
two S's, exactly. Or, you know, in the same way that like every single account has a unique alphanumeric like password, it's not perfect, but it provides a little bit more security, right?
Hmm.
And then you don't have to worry about like, you know, your baby monitor for your not baby to be terrorized by people. That was just a
Let's
high
move it
level
on.
thing. Whatever thoughts you had. I don't know. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. So outside of smart toilets and then possibly getting hacked, what topic do you want to dig on? Do you want to talk about the book topics?
Yeah, let's go with the book topic.
So again, another sparked thing. I saw a news article, like a Yahoo News article, was that Tom Hanks verbally said like was a boycotting the idea of changing older books for modern times to become more PC. And I thought I agreed with them because I thought it was silly just for we're changing books. I'll give you my thoughts, but I would love to hear yours first before I dig on mine. But yeah, overall arching topic, changing older books to make them more PC friendly. What are your thoughts?
Is this about like specific books being changed, or is it just like
Um,
general
the
broad?
ideology, just the ideology of changing older books to be more PC.
I guess if it's wrapped up in a way where it's like we're going, oh man, am I gonna get canceled? I mean, high level, no, I don't think books should be changed. I see nothing wrong with like something was written, and for the time at which it was written, most likely it was also appropriate at that time. And if something needs to be updated or changed, there's nothing wrong with like pulling inspiration from a higher, like the high overarching storyline, and then just rewriting the other story, right? Like Disney does this all the time with their videos. Like half their videos are all the exact same storyline, and then they just like change, you know, characters and things like that, and you just make slight modifications. I also think that that makes it a lot more. It'll be a lot um it'll be received a lot easier by the audience rather than saying like, hey, we're going to take this old story that's been around for 50 years and reboot it, where now you're actually like fighting against the people that may have loved that older story for whatever reason, versus here's a new story that we just dropped, and then as people watch it they're like, wow, there's a lot of similarities to this old book, but like it's also different and unique and updated and, you know, refreshed. It's just going to be received better. The other one is like almost like it's like in a way it's like shaming the past, which just like ruffles more feathers, but maybe that could be the reason why people are doing something to begin with, is they kind of want to ruffle the feathers. What are your thoughts on Tom Hanks's statement, or your general thoughts when it comes to revising old stories to be air quote more current?
I kind of agree that I think it shouldn't. I agree with Tom Hanks where it shouldn't be changed. Leads me to a couple things. One, a few things actually, not just a couple. But I think the books as a history lesson can be it holds like what reality was at that time. The harshness of it, the things that weren't really like the pleasantness. What book? It's like How to Kill a Mockingbird. Very like a wow type of book and
Was that
very
one of the
at
books
that.
that they wanted to update, or is that an example that you were
That's
thinking
just an
of?
example. That's just an
Okay.
example I'm just thinking of. So again, a very frozen in time type of book. And if you change things like for small little languages, I think you lose the expression of like that the image of what that times were really like. At that all had been softer, and then you imagine like again kids reading this and going forward with life and think, oh, the past was like kind of easy, like, and it forgets of how we got to here. That's how I thought it. Like how we got to this very day of like it's still not sunshine and rainbows, but it was better. But now we're kind of reverting back to like it can get sticky. I'm just saying, like, I think as a time capsule, showing times of what it was not like how it is, but if we make it like that, I think it now just instead of having a very streamlined type of current, now it's like we don't show all the ups and downs that society has went through because they're like a time capsule. Those are my thoughts. And then it just got me down thinking about censorship and like I was watching Band of Brothers and Nazi Germany had that book burning and book banning and having the censorship stuff and that kind of and they kind of get down like the spiral of just going deep and where's this kind of start of what was it? Oh my goodness, I'm tip of my tongue. Snowball effect. It was like a snowball effect of where this can go. So that's just very thinking like kind of morbid. But that's why I see is that we're doing an injustice to like our past if we soften the blow. That's just me.
It's also a never ending thing to go back
Mhm.
and try to identify. I mean, okay, if you're looking at books, like books and stories that are associated with books, there's so many books. I mean, it's the only category that creates like brand new, net new, like things every single year,
Mm.
right? Like there's no other larger variety of anything but beyond books, probably. And so, yeah, where do you stop? How many books do you go back? Is it a year thing? Is it
Yeah.
an author thing? Is it a level of popularity thing? Like, oh no, this book is too popular now. Now we have to go back and PC it. But yeah, so there's a level of censorship. But then general stories in general, right? It's like White Chicks. Great movie. Is it PC? I mean, at least in today's like standards, no way could that be
That movie would not
launched.
have passed.
Oh my goodness, that would never make it to the theaters. Are you kidding me? Mm-mm.
But back then it was.
Oh, I mean, it's still one of my top movies of all time. I mean, is it not? I don't know about you. I'll speak for myself, but like that movie's good.
I just love the if you know, you know.
Oh my goodness. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like if it's a slippery slope for censoring because there's the what should be accepted, like who gets to define what is actually the most acceptable thing and not the most acceptable thing, because even coming at it from a standpoint of, well, the majority agrees with it, there's a lot of stuff where there's different majorities depending on who you want to silence and then agree with, right? And so, oh man, it's tough.
Yeah, dude.
It's tough.
It's
I mean, like,
it's a tough one. I would love your input if anyone's listening, like put it in the comments because this is a tough one. It's another if we want to go an extra layer, we don't have to go on it, but just hearing on the news with even Florida banning books, like certain books in like children libraries. And again, like what are we doing if we're gonna learn from our history? What are we that's just another level of topic, but that can again that slippery slope type of effect. If we're doing that, then if it's
is
never
that banning
been
certain books in general, or was that specific to like public school curriculum and the books that were being like?
I think it was public, like just public, like library. So like, it's for mainly for children books at a certain age.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, I don't know how to like really define this. That's why I was like, I thought it'd be an interesting topic. There's no right way to approach it. There's no wrong way. Maybe it's a wrong way. Maybe it's not a right way. Maybe leave the books as is. I don't know.
As books change, I think it does open, right? Because like even the books that we read, I mean, there's some of them that are pretty standard amongst a lot of us, but I'm sure there's books that I had to read in my school district compared to the books that you read in your school district that are different.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to tell different stories. They have different characters. There's different like values and lessons to be learned. So as like, more current books are being incorporated, like what does a parent do if they don't agree that book should be in the curriculum, right? Regardless if it's considered PC or not PC, it's like at the end of the day, it's like, is that content, whatever that content might be, it could be books, it could be other things maybe, should that be something that is allowed, I guess.
Yeah.
And the only way to have full control over it is probably homeschooling, or maybe in some like
Private
areas.
school that you actually know the curriculum and stuff like that.
Yeah. But outside that, it's kind of like, here's what you kind of get.
Mm-hmm.
And that, I mean, I have that I didn't even bring up that topic. I have that topic on here, bro. Like public school, private school, and curriculum.
Oh,
Which
that's a whole different.
Yeah.
That's a whole different subject in itself.
But yes,
something to consider.
Yeah, high level when it comes to the situation that you mentioned about like Tom Hanks making a statement like that. I agree with him. I haven't read the article, so I don't know the full context to it, but high level from what it sounds like, I don't think we should go back and modify books. Just write a new story, refresh it with what's current for the current state. And I mean, if that book, the new revision of it becomes more popular, then it becomes more popular. Let like the people decide that versus like something else that could be historically a really popular book. And then now you're like trying to meddle with it.
Yeah. So in the sense of making a new edition and altering it, but not really taking it out of the original context.
Yeah. Also, it's like, was it the author that wanted to make it more current, or is it the publisher? Right? Like who is the revision coming from?
Yeah, it's an important thing.
Yeah.
As of right now, that's why I didn't want to say it was an event. I would say it's more of an ideology.
Yeah.
Of things. That's why I was like, I don't have a solid list of the books. I don't have a solid list of who was asking for it, but just the ideology of it I wanted to bring up.
Yeah, I'm looking up an article that I think you're referring to. He says, or at least this is the clickbait title. Tom Hanks would boycott any books rewritten to reflect modern sensitivities.
That'd be it.
So the background on this is Puffin, which is a really large book publisher. They were going in and modifying some Roald Dahl's books. Oh my God, those are classic books. They were removing language that was deemed offensive. So this is a book publisher going back through their inventory, which I'm assuming they probably have some like rights over, which gives them the ability to make these revisions. And the words that were being scraped out of those old books included words like fat or ugly. And then there's also alterations that were made in relation to subjects such as gender, race, and mental health. That's a tough one. I'm going to go with no. I'm going to be like, thanks, but give me OG version, please. Thanks. But yeah, that was the article that I saw it on.
All right, let's transition. What else you got? Because you had two. Went over your creepy toilets.
Creepy toilets is one. The second one here. So Neuralink, which is a company that is, I think, co-founded or probably maybe Elon is CEO of, because he's CEO of like so many damn companies. They made an announcement via Twitter that they have received FDA approval for human trials. So some background on Neuralink. Basically, the idea behind it is building a what is the word that they use? Let me see if it's in here. Okay, here the summary that they use in one of the articles. They create electronic implants that would decode the brain's activity and communicate it to computers. So it's the ability to identify all the different things that are triggering our brain and having a computer basically decode what that actual like action is, right? So if I'm thinking of moving my arm, the computer can then recognize that I thought that I was trying to move my arm. So it's a little bit of mind reading, right? But if you were to like extrapolate this out, it's basically the Matrix, because if you can read things out, you can read things in, right? So in the same way in the first Matrix, when they're like, I need to know how to like fly this helicopter, and they're like, hold up one sec,
and just pop it in, but you're good.
You're good. Go for it.
Kung fu.
Kung fu. You know how to fly your helicopter. So, I mean, there's a lot more controversy we could dive into, but high level, what are your thoughts on this concept overall?
Selfishly, high level, I think would be kind of sick just to like learn something super fast and not really, just in there. in the sense of prosthetics, I think creating like, again, you lost a body, you lost a limb, and streamlining that to be as efficient as possible. But I could just see like Terminator like type of vibes coming in. We have open AI, all the AI technology, then you're gonna have Neuralink, which is now gonna, oh, we have this database, and then we're just gonna make our own robots that could just, take over. That's freaky.
Is this any more like freaky than like all the technology that's happening with AI right now?
No, I think like you said in the very beginning, we're dealing with a change. The dangerous part though is that there's many reasons why people stop having AI tech in the past, but why now is it being okay where it's out in the public? Because there's certain projects you're more familiar with this, but there's a certain point where they kind of saw like, oh snap, it's dangerous. By dangerous, you mean like the technology is saying something about, I don't know, pressing delete on the human race, on the lines of like that. But what? How is it now safe or appropriate now that we're using this? Like, so you probably have a better background on that knowledge.
I mean, from the AI side, the difference is
Mm-hmm.
a company created the technology and gave access to other people to use that technology. Prior companies that have experimented with it didn't provide public access to it. That's what's creating that spike, is that people actually have access to it now. And I mean, it's just the decision of one company to be like, hey, you can use this, versus, hey, we created this thing and we're gonna hide it because we don't think it's ready. But when it comes down to like this Neuralink stuff, Neuralink is not the only player in this space. So there's another company called BlackRock Neurotech. There's another one called Synchron. They've actually already done implants on humans already. So there's 42 other cases of some way, shape, or form this technology being tested on a human. And I mean, like, dude, could you imagine? I mean, like in the Matrix, they have this like literally like, it looks like a microphone jack that goes in the
Yeah,
back
it's
of
like
their
right.
head. Yep. And I think the latest drafts of Neuralinks originally was supposed to be like kind of behind the ear. So it's like not something you kind of see. I think the newest one now is like somewhere up here on the top of your head. So it's pretty visible of where it is. And I think that's probably just a direct like reflection, is like, as you research more, you're like, it actually needs to talk to this part of the brain versus this other part of the brain. Right. Like you
Yeah,
can't like,
because you just can't go from one. Like there's different types of lobes with other function, left hemisphere, right hemisphere type of thing.
yeah, and they're
It's
making the decisions based off of like science and data, not because it looks better, right?
no. And then then out of a collective, then you can maybe stem it from, okay, now we could put an optimal spot where it's going to be the most effective. And this is when the trial and error comes in.
Absolutely. So here, I'm going to send you a video. Watch this video. So
Oh
before
yeah.
they like published anything for like human trials, they've been doing this on animals, which obviously has this controversy with, human animal trials for anything. But watch this video and let me know what your thoughts are. You can kind of scroll around through it, but high level, what it is Neuralink put their technology into a monkey and taught the monkey how to play Pong.
So they inputted knowledge into said brain.
Yes.
You compare the damn thing to a phone? Monkey's just thinking through Pong right now.
Yep.
This was 2 years ago.
Yeah, that was another thing I was going to call out, was this isn't like it happened yesterday, right? Like this is like
Yeah.
technology that they've refined another 2 years worth. But that was just an example of like what they're able to do so far. And I mean, in a way, it's mind. It's the ability to read someone's mind, right? It's mind reading is what it is.
Yeah, it's executing through technology. Like, oh, I have to go up, then it's now just streaming down, and we got to put the cursor up.
So the
Holy crap.
dystopian thing is, obviously, if everyone has one of these transmitted inside their brains, some government entity can like know what's going on and maybe like mind control people. But like there's a lot of other upside that could potentially come from it, right? Like if you're a paraplegic, right, or a quadriplegic, you can now think through different actions of things that you need to do and remotely control a prosthetic hand. Or
Yeah.
like, I don't know, maybe there's some air quotes safe way to connect to another interface that's maybe public domain that you can actually like interact with if you need to go to a vending machine and order a soda, right? Like there's a lot of capabilities with the ability, like the fact that you can now leverage what you want to think into an actual action.
What I also imagine it, oh my goodness, having metaverse into like this thing, like I don't know, like it could just technology nowadays is getting like you could meld it. I don't know how what the application things that you can do, but you can literally plug into the matrix. Like you take that concept of like metaverse going into like it just oh dude. I'm kind of glad I might be dead by this time because I don't even know how I'm gonna handle this.
You're not going to be dead by the time
Uh,
this technology hits mainstream, dude. That like
maybe
technology, like this
I'd be
type of
really old.
technology is on the hockey stick curve right now. So
Oh, it's like it's about to like be off.
yeah, like a lot of this technology, whether it's like Neuralink, when you're looking at AI, things like that, like the first AI stuff 10, 15 years ago, right? 20 years ago. And it's
Yeah.
just kind of been like in its like infancy. Now it's at a point that like, okay, there's like adoption to it, right? This kind of technology, like there's more than one company that's doing research with it. There's obviously like they're able to produce results. And so depending on how they want to like implement it, if they want to keep it, just their own proprietary, trade secrets and stuff, like sure, they could keep it in that way. Or it's only a matter of time before it becomes more accessible to other people, and then they could start experimenting with different use cases on it.
A Black Mirror is I actually never watched Black Mirror only because I think I saw one episode and it freaked me out because the possibilities of it being real, like it's always there. It's always on the cusp. So this reminded me of the episode I've seen was that's why it freaks me out.
Dude, just you can watch Black Mirror or just read any sci-fi book, and then it becomes reality from there, right? Like all the
Mhm.
stuff that we're starting to see nowadays, you could find like in old books, old sci-fi books. It's like someone came up with this like futuristic idea, and now it's just like technology's at a point where you're like, well, we can make that a reality. Is it a good idea? I don't know, but like it has the capability of becoming a reality.
Yeah, for sure not getting a smart toilet after this, man. um, I'm keeping that crap analogged.
You're gonna be like, how like our grandparents, they're like, I don't want a cell phone, like unless there's a landline, but like you're gonna be that next like cusp of like things coming out, and you're like, I don't want it. I don't want that.
I wouldn't want it because I wouldn't want to learn it or do it.
Dude, that's how people just become basically irrelevant as the
They
workforce
do.
changes.
I really
Like
hope at a certain point, like I'm 50 or 60, I'm just chilling and I'm like, I don't gotta play the game anymore. I'm chilling.
it's the goal, but I think that's one of the scary
If
things
I,
of dude, 50 or 60 is not old anymore. You know that.
yeah, I know.
Like even for like if you think like 62, 65, when people are like, oh, I'm retired, like there's a large set of the population where they're like in their 60s or 70s and they feel young still.
Technology, man.
Yeah, but like if you're feeling young at
Damn,
like
that
60 or 70,
episode.
that means this stuff is very, very relevant still.
That's a job for future Justin to decide.
Okay, kick it down the bottle. Wait, kick it down
I'm
the
good.
alley? Kick it down, kick the bottle down the alley. Oh
You
God.
might need Neuralink. You can't remember this stuff either.
Okay, so like that was another part thinking about this is like who would be the type of person to sign up, raise their hand, and be like, I want to be your first human to test this.
Dude, I don't even know.
It's kind of terrifying.
Like I wouldn't want to like that's like you're surgically
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
like you're hey, you might get permanent brain damage that you might just be doing this. Like what is they must have one hell of a care package or just say, hey, sign a waiver and you're good to go.
I don't know how. I mean, I'm sure there's I think you and I probably think it's a little bit crazy. I'm sure there's someone out there that'll probably do it. Like they'll like, this is really cool. Or I don't know, maybe Neuralink is like, hey, we'll pay you $1,000 to try this out for like 12 weeks and you provide us feedback on it. Someone's like, ooh, for $1,000, I'm down. Like, I don't know.
God, you have to be real has to be a really crazy care package for me to do this.
Oh yeah. I'm not going to touch it at all, but I will definitely watch the research as they release different updates for sure.
Like, dang, that'd be cool. But never mind, I'm good.
I think the ability to turn it off or on would be very important for me.
Um,
Right? Like there's times where I would want it to be able to scan my brainwaves, and there's times that I don't. Like in an ideal state, it doesn't have to go into my head at all. It'd be cool if it's like it's like a
I'm powering
nicotine
down.
patch that could just be put onto my head, and then I could take off the nicotine patch, and then all of a sudden I'm back to like I'm disconnected off the grid.
Dude, you're always gonna be on the grid.
I can't with you. No, that's a dad joke. No.
You're gonna have a smart house, bro. You're always on the grid. I'm just saying. Circle this back.
The house is on the grid, but I will not be.
I don't know.
Okay,
Think
let's
about it.
let's go to let's go to your topic. What was the other one that you had?
Oh goodness. Our timeline goals. Let me rephrase this. Are timeline goals bad for long-term progress? By long-term goals, I mean like 5 to 10 years. And long-term progress, I mean life, the entirety of life. So for life examples, let's say I want to retire by 40. That's a very finite rule, finite playbook for a life versus taking the goal of I want to be a stay-at-home dad. I don't want to have my significant other pay for everything. I want to build something that I can have the ability to stay at home and not be working for a job. Very different type of rules for the game. So I don't have to, there's no distinct timeline. I just have to know I have to be having everything up and running so I could be a stay-at-home dad.
So like one would be I want to retire by 40. The other one is saying I just want to be a stay-at-home dad, but there's no time-based requirement to it.
Correct. So, but both are attacking the same thing. I have to get my like shit together. I want to make sure if I could have a passive income, at least a job or a business that will at least pay the majority of my salary or have achieved fire. But the thought process isn't like a timeline. It's more has to keep going. So for example, for you, you want to be a millionaire by 30. You didn't hit that. For those 2 weeks, you were pretty miserable. You were really down on yourself for those 2 weeks. For me, it was I hit mine. I want to work for the NFL. I got it for a year internship, didn't really love it. But once I hit that goal, I felt really lost. So that's what I mean. It was a finite type of goal for this grand scheme of an infinite game. So that kind of got me on the grand question. Are timeline goals bad for long-term progress?
I think like if there's a timeline goal that doesn't have the expectation of needing to be refreshed, that's where there's a stall out. So like an example for you, if the NFL working there is seen as the pinnacle, then it creates this gap afterwards versus like the NFL is still on the side of that mountain, but that was the goal that you were gunning for. For like the millionaire by 30, right? Like that was a goal that I had when I was, I don't know, 18, graduating from high school. Yes, I was down only because I had to recalibrate so deep of where did I make a misstep in the past 5 or 10 years? And how do I recalibrate that as quick as possible to fix that in the coming years? And I mean, like high level, right? Like I bought my first property before 30. There's like a bunch of other things that do like that were the steps before whatever that would look like. I have with like not putting a time based on like I want to be a stay-at-home dad. Like I guess it matters to the person of like, does that matter of achieving that by like 30? Or do you want to be a stay-at-home dad when you're 60? Right? Like without the time-based piece, you can't work on like you can't take action against it at any level of urgency because there's nothing to define against that.
So let me rephrase this question then. How would you map out a long-term goal? By long-term goal, I mean like 20 years plus.
Yeah.
And then go. What is your thought process to it then?
I mean, for me, myself, like I mean, I think you've seen my like morning miracle, morning formula, like document, right? Where I've already pre-written basically my obituary of like, this is everything Nick Ayala has achieved in his life. And so that is that like long-term goal of different things that over the span of my life, I've achieved, right? And so that's like defining that, like, in the alphabet, there is a letter Z, right? But all I care about is, like, if I'm on letter B or letter C, what is just the next letter that I know I need to figure out? Because, like, the other letters I can figure out after they happen, right? But Z's out there. Now just focus on what are the pieces in order to get to that point, and then hopefully by the end, by you get to that point, you're actually at that goal, right? And I think, like, defining at least what Z is at least gives a North Star to, like, go towards.
Yeah, might agree and disagree.
Mm-hmm.
The North Star, yes. Like, so when I say like retire by 40 or being a stay-at-home dad, I think the stay-at-home dad gets me motivated just to keep on going to achieve A, B, C, and D.
Yeah.
And then having 40 is like, oh crap, when you go by 40, like I'm not here yet, and kind of gets you down. So in these micro goals between A to B, I think it's important to have timelines. Like, okay, let's try to get it within the year, hyper focus and create that stressor, but also being forgiving to yourself that if you don't get it in the year, you still have the next year to get to B. But you got a whole lot closer than having that stressor. So I agree to having a timeline for short term, but to have that continuum of a goal, because even though if I'm 40 and if I slip and I don't stay focused, that stay-at-home dad realities could just be collapsing with my feet underneath me. If I don't pay enough time in the sense of this, whatever I build or whatever I earn, and I don't keep an eye on it, I get lazy because I got it by 40, I don't have to try anymore. So for a continuum of a long-term goal, I feel like it's very important to keep you sharp.
Remember our last episode where we were talking about when learning something, it's important to know the what, the why, and the how.
Mm-hmm.
I think goal setting is very similar. The what would be like retire by 40. The part that you're talking about is the compelling why. Why do you want to retire by 40? Right. And then that's where the part that comes into of like, well, I have a wife and kids, and, you know, by the time I'm 40, like, I need to be a stay-at-home dad because they're going to be at their prime in high school, and I want to be there taking them to their classes or taking them to their sports or seeing their sports games, or right, like, that's the part that creates that everlasting motivation to, like, justify why it needs to happen within a timeline, right? Like, I mean, I went to the like Tony Robbins Unleash, what is that, something within,
2016, like in
yeah, let's say it
man.
was around like 2016, and they did a lot of stuff around like visualization and like, why do you have the goals that you have, and there's a lot around like a really, really compelling why is the reason that is going to keep you going when you don't want to keep going, right?
So
And
go ahead.
yeah, and so I think that's a really, really big element of, like, not just goal setting it for the sake of goal setting it, right? Like, I want to be a billionaire. It's like, okay, yeah, that'd be cool. Like, is there a why that's unique to that person that, like, motivates them to getting to that point?
So using what you just said, if you just transplant the why as the main end goal versus having a structured, would you still want the structured or using the why as your main motivator at the very end goal?
I think the what's the end goal. I think the why is the gasoline to get there.
Okay. It's funny because I wanted to talk to you because you and I are very different.
Mm-hmm.
I need to get the why to get to wherever I'm going, and so
Well, you're
you
saying
need
you need the why to get to where you're going, which means that there's something at the end, which is the destination. So that's not
but
actually the end.
got me in a sense. I'm formulating it. I don't believe that there's an end though. I just want to keep on walking. I think it'll get me there to like, oh, I cannot sprint, I can walk. Make sense? Like I don't have to go with a full sprint. I could just be like coasting, using that as the why. Because when is enough enough? If you set that goal, like, oh, we're all creatures that are wanting more weapons. If you said, all right, retired by 40, and then maybe there's another thing that might have a quote unquote end destination, when you just know like what you build is enough. Coming from us who we can easily just do the 9 to 5 and just work a happy life and be with our significant others and doing this, but why are we even doing this podcast? Why are we even doing X? We have a lot of friends who are just having a really great family life, but we're still going for more. So when is enough enough? That's why I felt it was very important to have the why as the end goal, not a end goal of being the end goal. Because once I get to that enough point of my why, instead of going zooming, I could just, I'm here, now I'm just maintaining and I'm okay at this level.
The why, the justification for the end goal.
Yeah.
And then some people's why just sounds like trash versus other ones that's like, there's, I mean, you know, some people just want it. It's like, why do you want to be a billionaire? I like money. You're like, all right, you know what? If that
Okay,
works
all
for you,
right.
that works for you. Like, I'm not one to judge, but like, that's not a big thing. Or, I mean, $1 billion is a lot of fucking money, but I don't know, like being a millionaire by 30 was never the end goal. It was a stepping stone for the larger of what I need. And that's because I've done the math behind what it takes to like financially sustain my aging parents, right? When their retirement runs out. What is it when like my own family and you know, there was that one thing. There's like 3 levels of success that you could define it by. It's the being debt free, being able to eat what you want to eat, being able to vacation how you want to vacation. And, you know, those 3 goals are very unique to each person. And then you work backwards from there. Like if you could hit those 3 things, I don't think any money beyond that actually matters. Right? Like the other components fit into there. You're like, oh, I have kids. So like, okay, you could do this or whatever. Right. But for me, I'm so planned out around like, I think my parent, like, I'm pretty confident that my parents are going to outlive their retirement. Okay, then what? Like, am I going to be at a situation where I'm just like, my parents ran out of their money. Good luck. Right? Like, there's that option. The other option is, okay, you could come move in with me. But then what's that look like on a day to day? We've seen how other parents, like, there's a level of complexity when in like your parents move in with you, right? Especially if like you may not be in a financial position where you have an extra bedroom for someone. So now you're like, okay, like we need to figure out the actual space aspect in addition to like your kids, right? And then you layer another piece on there, like as they're aging, like can you as an individual, in addition to working all the time, take care of your parent as a full-time caregiver addition to that? Right. And it's like, do you want that? Are you willing to do that? Or the only other way outside that is you need to make more money in order to supplement that help in some way, shape, or form. And then at that point, you're back to I need to make more money. Right. I've seen a lot of families where like it is a balancing act as family ages. So I need a plan for that so that I don't have that future stress. It's a stressor regardless, right? Like it can be in the nicest way, but it is a complexity that is going to happen in many of our lives anyways.
So just in conclusion on this whole thing, I think from what I'm getting, I think we both are in line again, having the timelines of A, B, and C and D's. My Z is something that can keep progressing, and on the Y is is my Z, and your Z is a very tangible, like metric goal. So yes, is that conclusion off? It's how I think it's how we picture the Z, that either one that motivates us to keep us going and to push us for more. So again, my Z can not might hit by the 40 mark, but it could hit by 50. So I think for me, I think my Z is more forgiving in that aspect. But I know you're the importance of getting everything done as getting done by that timeline. But I think for yours, it's like a hard, hey, we got to get this.
Oh yeah, yeah, because
Yeah.
I've like it's pretty easy to math out when mom and dad are going to be 90 and then you backwards math that of like, well, I could wait till I'm 50. And you're like, okay, what happened the past 30 years when your parents are now moved in with you? There's the extra expense of that because they can't work and you're a caregiver. Like, is that also something you're taking into account at that level or not? Right.
So a lot of things actually put into effect.
I mean, you know me, dude. I have a spreadsheet that maps out like the next 12 years of my life on a year
I
by
know
year
you do.
basis, almost to
I
a point
know
of a
you.
quarter by quarter basis.
This is why I wanted to bring it up to you.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, like, you're right. I don't hit everything, but like, you know what? If it's not written down, it's more likely to slip, right? Like, since we've been so micro with our 12-week years, it's been a little more productive.
No, it's been super productive. 100% agree. Those are good topics.
Spicy.
Yeah, it was good. It was very good. You got me pausing for a little bit because still it's interesting. It's a very interesting type of because some people don't even think this way either. It's the crazy part when I hear this. Oh, I'm just gonna go with the flow. I'm like, wait, what? What are we doing?
It's a different type of person that could do that. Like,
I'm like, I don't know how to do that. But have you heard those? Like, I'm like, I don't know.
I've absolutely heard people that do that. I can think of a couple of my friends immediately when you said that. And I mean, they're doing great for themselves. Good for them. That is all I
I
can
don't know how
say.
to do it.
Yeah. I don't function that way. And if I was just going with the flow, I'm gonna go play a video game.
Hey, before we conclude this show, though, do you want to give a small snippet on your update on the house build? Kind of keep it more accountability. I would like to hear all your updates so far.
Updates on this? Oh my goodness. Okay, so background on this, maybe a little bit over a year ago, bought a triplex. The idea after going through the triplex was like, maybe $30,000 max is going to be needed into 2 of the 3 units to get it up on the market, start getting the property cash flow. Started to do some of the demo. I mean, what first thing I learned is like buying a 70-year-old building comes with a lot of hidden costs, right? Things are not to code. Pipes are made with really old pipes. Like electrical does not meet the current standard. Yeah, there's a lot of learnings that come with your first real estate investment property. And so what ended up happening was like you started getting overwhelmed, right? Like the laundry list of things just explodes because you're like, well, I need to get this done or I need to get that done. And, you know, very quickly that became close to like a $200,000 to do item of like to get this done up, ready to go. In the most ideal state, it's going to be $200K. That stalled me out, right? Like $170,000. Where are you just going to get that out of anywhere?
But you're in tech, you could afford it.
I mean, only when one of the company's IPOs gets acquired. So
I'm just kidding.
So like having to take a step back, the game plan right now is if it's $200K to get both units up and ready to go, for every month that it's basically sitting there, I'm losing that opportunity cost of bringing in some kind of income. And so the current game plan now is can't do both units. Let's just do one unit and get some money in the door. And so that's where we're at right now. Getting electrical done, getting some of the cosmetic stuff done, but probably for around 15K, one of the 2 units could be pretty close to done rather than like, oh, we need to get both units done for that large amount in sum. And then hopefully in the next, let's see, person comes out probably in 3 months, we could get it up where at least that one unit is making some money, which will then make it a lot easier and quicker to offset the needed renovations for the last unit. And then we could actually turn focus on there. So instead of just like sitting, waiting until 200K is just magically stashed up in the bank, at least keeping the ball moving forward, I think is the big takeaways so far from the renovation standpoint.
So this podcast is being recorded on May 28th, and you said 3 months.
Yeah,
so,
three months.
Can you give me a deadline? So like
a deadline for that?
3-month deadline. What do you want? 3 months?
Oh my gosh, I'm in like contracts right now with like some of some of the contractors, so I don't actually have like solidified dates of when they could come out yet. And that's another thing that I'm learning right now is summertime up here in Seattle. Tradesmen are booked galore. Like this is their busy season. Because like up in Seattle, you only have 3 months of like good weather, and so everyone's rushing them in the summertime to get that done. Ooh, it's hard to commit. I mean, I there's like one of them that I literally messaged today, and I need to get an idea back because the estimate for them to come through Like I had to switch contractors a couple of times. Like for electricians, some of them are like, I can't come out and give you an estimate for a month and a half to get an estimate. Not even scheduled to get the work done, to get an estimate. And so like this one, we've gotten the estimate, like all of that stuff. I don't know what their actual schedule looks like to get them out here. But for right now, let's say September 1. Let's have a check in on that. September 1, let's see if what the current state is. My goal by September 1 is all of the infrastructure is done and that we're at a state of either getting someone in there, or if we're going the Airbnb route, then getting all the furniture and making it look all themed and stuff like that.
So 1 unit by September.
1 unit
1st.
by September 1st. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, because then that'll give us another five months, right? To I said 5 months. 5, 3, 9. It's only 3 months. Yeah, it's another 3 months before the end of the year to like really make a hard push to getting the other unit done, which would be nice. If we can do that, we would be back on track with my spreadsheet of where the property should be if we can make some magic work in the next 6 months.
All right. Hey, you heard it here.
Yeah, there we go. All right. Well, we'll end it on that note. So if you made it this far, appreciate you hanging out with Jo and myself. This is episode 6. This is Nick. Thank you for listening. And Jo, any final words?
No, have a great day. Thank you for listening. Appreciate you.
Amazing. Talk to y'all on the next one.